Listen to me carefully. 2025 is here, and I need you to understand something fundamental. This year won't care about your intentions. It won't care about what you meant to do, what you planned to do, or what you hoped would happen. This year will only respond to one thing: action. And that action, or the lack of it, is going to separate two types of people: winners and losers. And before you get offended by those words, understand this. I'm not talking about your bank account or your job title. I'm talking about whether you win the battle with yourself or lose to your own excuses. Because that's what it comes down to. Not you versus the world. Not you versus your circumstances. You versus you. The person you are today versus the person you're capable of becoming. The choices you make today versus the choices you know you should make. The comfort you cling to versus the growth you're afraid of. That's the real battle. And in 2025, that battle is going to determine everything. Here's what nobody wants to tell you. Most people have already lost 2025, and we're barely into it. They lost it the moment they hit snooze this morning. They lost it when they scrolled for an hour instead of working on their goals. They lost it when they said, "I'll start tomorrow for the 1,000th time." See, the separation isn't happening at some finish line in the future. It's happening right now, today, this hour, this very moment. While you're sitting there waiting to feel motivated, someone else is doing the work. While you're making excuses about your circumstances, someone with worse circumstances is making progress. While you're thinking about starting, someone else is finishing. The winners, they stopped waiting for permission. They stopped waiting for the perfect moment. They stopped waiting to feel ready. They just started. And here's what I need you to understand. Every single day, the gap widens. Every day you wait, someone else moves forward. Every day you hesitate, someone else takes action. Every day you make excuses, someone else makes progress. Think about that. Really think about it. Right now, as you're listening to this, there's someone out there with less talent than you, working harder than you. There's someone with fewer resources than you, making more progress than you. There's someone who started with less than you, who's already further ahead than you. Why? Not because they're special, not because they're lucky, but because they decided to stop waiting and start moving. They understood something you need to understand. The perfect time doesn't exist. The perfect plan doesn't exist. The perfect circumstances don't exist. But the present moment, that exists, and it's all you've got. You can spend your whole life waiting for things to line up perfectly, waiting for more money, waiting for more time, waiting for more confidence, waiting for more knowledge, waiting for someone to give you a chance. Or you can work with what you have right now, today, and build from there. Winners don't wait for ideal conditions. They create progress under any conditions. They understand that starting imperfectly is infinitely better than waiting perfectly. Now, let me tell you something that's going to make some of you uncomfortable. But if you're serious about changing your life in 2025, you need to hear this. Everything you have right now, every circumstance, every situation, every result in your life is a direct reflection of the choices you've made. Not your parents' choices, not your boss's choices, not society's choices, your choices. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking about all the things that happened to you that weren't your fault. The family you were born into, the opportunities you didn't have, the setbacks you face, the people who let you down. And you're right, you didn't choose those things. Life isn't fair. Bad things happen to good people. Sometimes you get dealt a terrible hand. But here's the hard truth that separates winners from losers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened to you. What matters is what you do about it. What matters is how you respond. What matters is whether you use your circumstances as an excuse or as fuel. See, the moment you start blaming external factors for where you are, you give away your power. You become a victim. And victims don't win. Victims don't change. Victims don't grow. They just sit there pointing fingers, waiting for someone else to fix their problems. Winners take a different approach. They take full ownership, not partial ownership, not selective ownership. Complete, total, unconditional ownership of their lives. They don't say, I would be successful if only I had better opportunities. They say, what opportunities can I create right now with what I have? They don't say, I can't change because of my past. They say, my past doesn't define my future unless I let it. They don't say it's too hard because of my situation. They say, what can I control right now in this moment to move forward? That's the difference. That's the separator. And let me be clear about something. Taking ownership doesn't mean you're responsible for everything that happened to you. You're not responsible for being born into poverty. You're not responsible for other people's actions. You're not responsible for the cards you were dealt. But you are responsible for how you play those cards. You're responsible for what you do with the 24 hours you're given each day. You're responsible for the effort you put in. You're responsible for the standards you set for yourself. You're responsible for whether you grow or stay stagnant. You're responsible for whether you quit or keep going. Nobody else can do the work for you. Nobody else can make you show up. Nobody else can force you to be disciplined. Nobody else can create your success. That's on you. And here's why this matters so much. When you take ownership, everything changes. Because suddenly you're not waiting anymore. You're not hoping. You're not wishing. You're acting. You stop looking for someone to save you and start saving yourself. You stop making excuses and start making progress. You stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. Most people spend their entire lives blaming their childhood, blaming their education, blaming the economy, blaming their circumstances, blaming other people. And while they're busy blaming, life is passing them by. Years turn into decades, and they're still in the same place, still telling the same stories about why they couldn't make it. Winners don't have time for that. They understand something fundamental. Every moment spent blaming is a moment not spent building. They understand that complaining about where you are doesn't change where you are. Only action changes where you are. Only ownership changes where you are. Think about it. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can continue telling yourself the story about why you can't succeed. You can continue listing all the reasons why your situation is uniquely difficult. You can continue waiting for circumstances to align perfectly before you make your move. Or you can take ownership. You can look at where you are honestly without sugarcoating it and without catastrophizing it and say, this is where I am, not where I want to be, but where I am. And from this point, I'm going to build, I'm going to grow, I'm going to take responsibility for my progress, my development, my future. That decision, that shift in mindset is where the separation begins, because winners don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for all the obstacles to disappear. They understand that ownership means accepting that the path forward is their responsibility, regardless of how they got here. Your life right now is the sum total of your decisions up to this point. If you don't like where you are, make different decisions. If you don't like your results, change your actions. If you don't like your trajectory, change your direction. Stop giving your power away to circumstances. Stop giving your power away to other people. Stop giving your power away to your past. Take it back. Own it. Own your choices. Own your mistakes. Own your future. Because that ownership, that accountability is the foundation everything else is built on. Without ownership, nothing else matters. You can have all the motivation in the world, all the inspiration, all the goals, but if you don't own your role in creating your reality, you'll never change that reality. Now let me tell you where most people go wrong. They confuse comfort with success. You wake up, go through the motions, do just enough to get by, go home, numb yourself with distractions, and repeat. That's not living, that's existing. And existence is not what separates winners from losers. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, you've done enough, you deserve to rest. Tomorrow is fine. And that voice is a liar. Because here's the truth about comfort, it's the slow death of potential. Every day you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. And if you're honest with yourself, you know you're not satisfied with where you are. If you were, you wouldn't be watching this right now. The winners in 2025, they're comfortable being uncomfortable. They understand that growth lives on the other side of discomfort. They've made peace with the fact that the path to excellence is paved with early mornings, late nights, and moments when every part of them wants to quit. Let me tell you what comfort really costs you. It costs you your dreams. It costs you your potential. It costs you the person you could have become. Because comfort is a trap. It feels safe. It feels reasonable. It feels justified. You tell yourself, I've worked hard. I deserve to relax. I deserve to take it easy. And maybe you do. Maybe you've earned a moment of rest. But when that moment turns into days, and those days turn into weeks, and those weeks turn into months, you're no longer resting. You're regressing. See, there's no neutral ground in life. You're either growing or you're dying. You're either moving forward or you're falling behind. You're either pushing yourself or you're settling. And settling is comfortable. Settling doesn't require courage. Settling doesn't require risk. Settling doesn't require you to face your fears or challenge yourself or step into the unknown. That's why most people settle. Not because they don't have dreams, not because they don't want more, but because wanting more requires becoming more. And becoming more requires leaving comfort behind. Think about the life you're living right now. Think about your daily routine. Think about how you spend your time, your energy, your focus. How much of it is spent in comfort? How much of it is spent avoiding discomfort? How much of it is spent taking the easy path, the familiar path, the safe path? Now think about your goals. Think about the life you say you want. Think about the person you say you want to become. Does your daily routine match those goals? Does your comfort zone align with your ambitions? For most people, the answer is no. There's a massive gap between what they say they want and what they're willing to do to get it. They want success, but they're not willing to sacrifice comfort. They want transformation, but they're not willing to endure discomfort. They want extraordinary results, but they're only willing to take ordinary actions. That doesn't work. It's never worked. It will never work. Winners understand this. They know that everything they want is on the other side of temporary discomfort. They know that growth requires pain. They know that progress requires pushing past the point where most people quit. So they embrace discomfort. They run toward it. They seek it out. When everyone else is sleeping in, they're up working. When everyone else is relaxing, they're training. When everyone else is taking the easy route, they're choosing the hard path because they know the hard path leads somewhere worth going. And here's what happens. When you consistently choose discomfort over comfort, you become someone different, someone stronger, someone more capable, someone who doesn't need perfect conditions to perform, someone who can thrive under pressure, someone who can turn adversity into advantage. That's what winners do. They don't run from discomfort, they use it. They understand that discomfort is the price of admission to the life they want. So ask yourself, what are you willing to be uncomfortable for? What are you willing to sacrifice comfort to achieve? What matters enough to you that you'll endure the pain of growth? Because if you can't answer those questions, you're going to stay comfortable. And staying comfortable means staying stuck. Section 4, the discipline divide, 14:18. You want to know the real separator? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not connections, it's discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not, every single time. The loser says, I'll work on my goals when I feel inspired. The winner says, I'll work on my goals especially when I don't feel inspired. The loser waits for motivation. The winner creates momentum. See, motivation is emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. But discipline is a decision. It's a commitment. It's showing up on the days when you'd rather stay in bed. It's doing one more rep when your body screams to stop. It's choosing to invest in yourself when it would be easier to waste time. And here's what happens with discipline. It compounds. One discipline day leads to another. 1 week becomes a month. 1 month becomes a year. And suddenly you look back and realize you're not the same person anymore. You've transformed. You've separated yourself from the pack. Winners understand this. They don't rely on feelings, they rely on systems, they rely on habits, they rely on showing up day after day after day, whether they feel like it or not. Let me break this down for you. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes. It's not about having superhuman willpower. Discipline is about consistency. It's about doing the small things repeatedly, even when they don't seem to matter, especially when they don't seem to matter. Because here's the truth. Most of success is built in the moments that feel insignificant. The workout you do when you don't feel like it. The chapter you read when you're tired. The extra hour you put in when no one's watching. The healthy meal you choose when junk food would be easier. Those moments don't feel important. They don't feel like they're changing anything. But they are. They're building something. They're creating momentum. They're programming your brain to understand that you're someone who follows through. You're someone who keeps commitments to yourself. You're someone who can be trusted to do what you said you would do. And that identity, that self-trust is everything. Most people don't have it. Most people can't trust themselves because they've broken too many promises to themselves. They've said they'd wake up early and hit snooze. They've said they'd start eating better and order takeout. They've said they'd work on their goals and scrolled social media instead. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you damage your self-trust. Every time you choose the easy path when you committed to the hard path, you teach yourself that your word doesn't matter. Winners do the opposite. They build self-trust through discipline. They prove to themselves day after day that when they say they're going to do something, they do it. Not when it's convenient, not when they feel like it, not when conditions are perfect, always, regardless, no matter what. That's discipline. And that discipline creates a separation that grows wider every single day. Think about two people with the same goal, same starting point, same resources, same opportunities. One person is disciplined, one person is not. Day one, the difference is barely noticeable. The disciplined person does a little more, works a little harder, stays a little more focused. The gap is tiny. Day two, same thing, tiny difference. Day three, day four, day five, each day the gap is almost imperceptible. But by day 30, there's a noticeable difference. By day 90, the gap is significant. By day 365, they're in completely different places. That's the power of discipline. It's not dramatic. It's not flashy. It doesn't make for good social media content, but it works. It always works, because discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It's the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without discipline, you're just dreaming. With discipline, you're building. And here's what I want you to understand. Discipline gets easier, not because the work gets easier, but because you get stronger. The first week of waking up early is brutal. The second week is hard. The third week is challenging. But by week 8, week 12, week 20, it's just what you do. It's who you are. That's the transformation discipline creates. It doesn't just change your results, it changes your identity. You stop being someone who tries. You become someone who does. You stop being someone who starts. You become someone who finishes. You stop being someone who talks about their goals. You become someone who achieves their goals. So the question is, are you willing to be disciplined? Not for a day, not for a week, not until you feel better or until things get easier. Are you willing to be disciplined, period, to make it non-negotiable, to decide that discipline is who you are, not something you do when you feel like it? Because if you can make that commitment, everything changes. Let's talk about something that doesn't care about your excuses, your circumstances, or your intentions. Time. Time is moving right now. As you listen to this, as you think about what you're going to do, as you plan and prepare and get ready to start, time is passing and it's not coming back. 2025 isn't waiting for you to feel ready. It's not waiting for you to figure everything out. It's not waiting for perfect conditions or perfect opportunities or perfect timing. It's happening right now, whether you're making moves or making excuses. And here's the brutal reality. Every day you wait, someone else is gaining ground. Every week you delay, someone else is building momentum. Every month you hesitate, someone else is creating results. The gap is widening right now, today, this moment. Winners understand that time is the most valuable resource they have, not money, not connections, not opportunities, time. Because time is the one thing you can never get back. You can make more money. You can build new relationships. You can create new opportunities. But you can never make more time. The hours you waste today are gone forever. The days you spend in comfort are days you'll never get to relive. The weeks you spend waiting for the perfect moment are weeks of progress you'll never recover. That's why winners move with urgency. Not panic, not stress, but purposeful, intentional urgency. They understand that later is a lie. Tomorrow is a promise you can't guarantee. Next week, next month, next year, none of it is guaranteed. All you have is now, this moment, this day, this opportunity to make a choice that moves you forward. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to waste it scrolling? Are you going to waste it making excuses? Are you going to waste it waiting for some mythical perfect moment that's never going to come? Or are you going to use it? Are you going to invest it? Are you going to treat it like the precious, irreplaceable resource it is? Winners treat time like it's valuable because it is. They guard it. They protect it. They invest it wisely. Losers treat time like it's infinite, like there's always more, like they can always start tomorrow. And then they wake up one day and realize tomorrow turned into next week turned into next month turned into next year, and nothing changed. They're still in the same place, still making the same excuses, still waiting for the same perfect moment. Don't let that be you. Don't reach the end of 2025 wishing you had started sooner. Don't reach the end of your life wondering what you could have become if you had just taken action. The time is now, not later, not when you feel ready, not when conditions are perfect, now. So here we are, 2025, your moment of decision. You can continue down the path you've been on. You can keep making the same choices, following the same patterns, hoping somehow things will magically change. You can join the crowd of people who will reach December wondering where the year went and why nothing changed. Or you can decide right now, today, that this is the year everything shifts. Not because circumstances change, but because you change your standards, you change your habits, you change your commitment level, you change how seriously you take your own potential. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Stop waiting for the perfect plan or the perfect moment. Start now, start messy, start scared, start imperfect. Just start. Because here's what I know, the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't as wide as you think. It's not some impossible journey. It's a series of small decisions made consistently over time. Winners aren't superhuman. They're just consistent. They're committed. They refuse to quit on themselves. So let me ask you, directly, which side are you going to be on in 2025? Are you going to be someone who looks back with pride, knowing you gave everything you had? Or are you going to be someone who looks back with regret, knowing you had potential you never tapped into? The choice is yours. Nobody else can make it for you. But understand this, the clock is ticking. Every day that passes is a day you'll never get back. Every hour you waste is an hour gone forever. 2025 will separate the winners from the losers. Not because life is unfair, not because some people are lucky, but because some people decide to do whatever it takes, and others decide to do whatever's comfortable. So decide right now, who are you going to be? Don't tell me. Don't tell your friends. Don't post it on social media. Show yourself through your actions, through your discipline, through your relentless commitment to becoming who you're capable of being. The separation has already begun. Get to work.